I actually didn't realise that when I put the yellow top on this morning, it would be a full-on Football Talks themed setup. The yellow setup this morning. Welcome along, everybody. We are live Sunday morning. We're looking back on the Premier League from yesterday and looking ahead to some massive games. All the news in and around the results from the Prem, the managers who are under pressure, the managers who were under pressure and maybe not so much now. I mean, we've got to start with the big two manager situations, I think, in Arne Slot and Maresca. I'm going to move on to Arsenal. My God. Seriously, can you believe that? But no, I don't want to start with Arsenal. I don't want to go in on that one yet. So we will get to it. But I wanted to start this show today with Maresca and Arne Slot. The upheaval, the pressure, two big games this weekend for them two home games that they had to win and both did quite comfortably as well in the end. People are talking, and people will probably talk about Maresca and say, why are we talking about Maresca? Is his job really under threat? Well, you look at Chelsea's form, you look at Chelsea over the last few weeks. I mean, it hasn't been great for Chelsea, not by any stretch of the imagination. And when you look at Chelsea's games, let's just run through a few of them. So I want to get through these to bring you the point I'm trying to get to here. So Chelsea turned round into November. When we look back at it, November the 1st, things were looking bright for Maresca. Beat Tottenham away from home, 1-0. Not great against Karabakh in the Champions League, 2-2 draw there. Comfortable win, 3-0 over Wolves. Then they beat Burnley 2-0. They were winning games they should win. Barcelona 3-0 at home. Then a very, very creditable draw against Arsenal. Boom, we're up. That's it. Chelsea are well and truly on. We're well into the season, a third of the way through, hitting into December, and December has been nothing short of an absolute nightmare for Maresca. Starting with that 3-1 disaster at Ellen Road, then to go to Bournemouth, who can't buy a win at the moment, and barely throw a punch, 0-0 in that one. Then they get beat by Atalanta in the Champions League, and the pressure is well and truly on. It's like they had the great result against Arsenal, and obviously the good form coming in before that into the Arsenal game. Good results there. Then they went and undone that against Leeds. And then they didn't really do much more against Bournemouth either, dropping 5 points out of them 6 games in the previous 2 Premier League games. Pressure on. Well, actually, no. They've dropped 8 points in the last 3 Premier League games, which has brought teams like Manchester United, for instance, right back into the race. Then the defeat in the Champions League has put more pressure on, considering that they were leading in that game against Atalanta as well. They had Everton. So, going into that Everton game, you look at that and you say, welcome to the mod crew as well. Block, well and truly earned as well, mates. Love that. Latest mod on the block there on Football Talks. Please congratulate him in the chat as well, if you're in there, everyone. Going into the Chelsea game this weekend against Everton and how important it was. Off the back of a Champions League game, back of no wins in the last 4 for Chelsea, dropping 8 points previously in their 7 points previously in their 3 Premier League games before that game. Having a midweek game as well, away from home in Europe, going up against a team like Everton, who are in great form, who haven't had a game in Europe. You'd have thought this was the banana skin. Everybody was sharpening their knives. Maresca was going to get it. This was going to be the moment. This was going to be the game where it all fell down. And then they comfortably beat Everton 2-0 at Stamford Bridge. And the dominance in the game is there in the stats, limiting Everton to 1 shot on target in that game. 58% possession. 16 shots to 8 for Chelsea, doubling the efforts, passes, pass accuracy. Chelsea turned up. Chelsea turned up yesterday in that game. That was a tough game. And I know it wasn't an absolute bonanza. It wasn't one of them that you're always going to remember. But the importance of that and the importance of one man in particular in Cole Palmer coming back. I say cold because he's back and back on the score sheet. How good is he? Oh, my days. And you can see what Chelsea have missed with Cole Palmer, because them games that are tight, so if, for instance, the game against Arsenal, Cole Palmer makes a difference there. The game, obviously, I know he's featured recently as well, but he's still finding his feet. But a fully fit Cole Palmer does something against Bournemouth, does something against Atalanta as well, pulls some out the bag against Leeds and just stops the rot. They have lost that razzmatazz, they've lost that influence from Cole Palmer, I think, recently. And that, I think, has been there and clear and evident in their recent matches. And now he's back full fit, and he's running the show again. That was a fantastic win yesterday. I cannot emphasise enough how big a win that was for Chelsea against Everton in that game. It was massive, absolutely massive, because if they don't win that game, you look at the Premier League table at that point then, Chelsea now on 28 points. Top 4, 2 ahead of Crystal Palace in 5th. Chelsea don't win that game yesterday. Liverpool are ahead of them. And Chelsea are languishing down in 6th and 7th in the table. And it starts to look a completely different picture. No Champions League win in midweek for Maresca. Poor form going in. Three games, no wins in the Premier League. That would have been 4 games without a win for Maresca. With the form in Europe as well, that was massive yesterday. And I'm not surprised that there was talk leading into the game about Maresca's future and what he might actually be looking at if he didn't get the win yesterday. Clean sheet as well. And to dominate Everton, who had that full week preparation for the game, that was a big, big day. And that maybe, with Cole Palmer being back, just pushes Chelsea right back in there. We'll see, obviously, in the coming weeks over December now, if Chelsea can keep that form up. But having Cole Palmer back, I think, is absolutely massive for them. He is definitely one of the best players in the Premier League. And when we're talking about £100 million players, I think, are we all agreed? And get into the live chat on this as well, please, everybody. Cole Palmer is worth £100 million of anybody's money, isn't there? He is that good. Am I crazy in saying that? It's because £100 million players are thrown around in terms of people's opinions and price tags these days like confetti. It's ridiculous. Cole Palmer is immense. Absolutely brilliant. He's worth £100 million easy. Let's get some comments in this. We actually celebrated the Wolves goal. Thought it was a draw. We'll get on to Arsenal coming up. That from Deborah. Brian says, I was listening to TalkSports in the car and they were laughing at how many sitters Garnacho spurred. Garnacho's story is an interesting one. Garnacho, who has got, well, Garnacho's got more time on the bench than he has on the pitch, actually, for Chelsea. It's great, isn't it? The grass is always greener on the other side, isn't it, Garner? So happy that Man United sold him anyway. Block, who's actually the latest mod, like we just said. What? I'm a mod? Laugh out loud. Never expected that. Right, Gray, watch it, sunshine. Gray, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Also, in that, we have just dropped 5 gifted memberships in there for you lot as well. Gray has taken one of them. Brian Silverback, Phyllis as well, and Ross. Welcome to the members club, you lovely, lovely people. I hope you do enjoy the membership. More on what we actually do going into the new year with the memberships. We want to try and roll out a new membership section as well in the new year. Something that we're hopefully going to be doing on both channels as well. So thank you again. No, why am I thanking myself? I don't know why I even did that. Sorry about that. And I get a few more comments in. Cole Palmer, by the way, is he a £100 million player? That's the question right now. Garnacho must be regretting his life choices now. I hope he is. I hope he feels like crap. Honestly, Gems, I really do. No one's mentioned if Cole Palmer is worth 100 million yet in the chat. Answer me that question, please, everybody, as well. You've got plenty of time yet. Just get to it, But Maresca being one of them managers under pressure and needing a result, got the result yesterday. Well done to him. I think he needs a little bit more credit than what Chelsea fans are giving him. And it's easy for opposition fans, I know, to actually come out and say that because it's not your club and we don't watch them week in, week out. We're not invested into them as much as the Chelsea fans are. I've seen so many Chelsea fans going in on Maresca, though, and talking about his selections, his tinkering, people actually calling him the Ranieri Part 2, and that he's changed his team so many bleeding times. He's the latest tinker man. I think he's just one of them managers that tries to think too far ahead sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think he does actually look at games coming up and he plans everything out. And you can tell in the way that he sets his teams up and who he actually plays. He'll have his go-tos. And let's not forget, Chelsea are doing this without Caicedo, their best midfielder also, who's suspended because he was stupidly sent off against Arsenal. So, again, this puts on to the impressive performance from Chelsea yesterday, and it makes that result look even better when it comes to the importance of it for Maresca and who the players they've got out missing the European game in the week. Good win. Same for Liverpool. I want to talk about Arne Slot as well. And obviously the pressure into that game was a different type of pressure. Great win against Inter Milan in the week for Liverpool. The Mo Salah saga lingering around in the background. And obviously he was on the bench. Is this his last game before he goes to AFCON? Mo Salah unexpectedly gets on the pitch early off the bench. Has an all-right game as well. Liverpool win 2-0 against a good Brighton side again, who had a full week to prepare. And this was a big, big banana skin game for Liverpool as well. But what a week it's been for Arne Slot at Liverpool. 2 clean sheets against 2 good sides, putting Liverpool back up there in contention for the top 4 in the Premier League. And obviously putting them in a decent position in the Champions League with, I think, what, we got 1 more game to go in the Champions League. No, 2 more games to go in the Champions League now. So a really good chance. I think they've got Karabakh and Marseille, Liverpool, to play yet in the Champions League. Good chance for them to get into the automatic qualification places, the top 8 in the Champions League. And obviously now they're in they're into the top 6 again in the Premier League. Only 2 points off Chelsea, who are in 4th. But you could say that they're only 5 points off Manchester City in 2nd. And if Arsenal did drop the ball, which they were so close to doing, if they did drop the ball and actually draw at home to Wolves, then the knives would have been out and the Bottle Job FC tag was going to be out in force today. Because if City would have beaten Palace today and Arsenal didn't get that last gasp injury time winner against Wolves, City could have gone top today. That's how important that Gabriel Jesus goal. Of all players, Gabriel Jesus comes out in injury time and gets it. Some will say that that is a sign of champions. Some will say that that is a sign of a team that's digging in, not playing well, and that's a sign that they're going to take the title this year. We said that about Liverpool earlier on in the season, though, didn't we? Winning the first 5 games, not playing well, being right up there, 100% record. It was all done and dusted, wasn't it? I'm seeing so many weaknesses in Arsenal's mentality at the moment, and I do think that they're struggling. You can talk about the win, and they've got away with it, and winning games like that. Manchester City did it against Leeds a couple of weeks ago. Phil Foden, last minute, last gasp, injury time winner. They're just getting the points. They got away with it against Fulham, 5-4 Manchester City. Look at what they've done after that, and that's the importance, you could say, on paper of winning games, because they've then been comfortable past that and got through games with ease, you could say, as well. Like the Sunderland game, a lot more convincing for them. All of a sudden, it turns into 3 wins in a row, and they're really pushing on. Arsenal, I'm not sure which way they're going to go. I don't know. Gyökeres has been a flop. He doesn't look like he's fit for the Premier League. And I think when Kai Havertz comes back, I think he puts Gyökeres on the bench. I think Havertz is a miles better player than Gyökeres. I can't believe I'm saying that. But yeah, that is the... I think when Havertz comes back, I think Arsenal will be a better side. Right now, I'm not convinced by Arsenal at all. And to be... literally, the amount of shots that Arsenal had on target yesterday to go into this. I know I was talking about Liverpool. I will come back to them again, but the game against Wolves, staggering. 5 shots on target against Wolves. I mean, Man United managed to get 10 on target against them. You're at home. You're at home. You had 70% possession. Had over double the amount of passes. And you only managed... And this is the sad thing as well. The shots on target. Arsenal did not score a goal yesterday. It was 2 own goals from Wolves that got them the win. Wolves scored 3 times yesterday and still lost the game. That's a sign of a team that knows that they're down anyway. And when you put on a performance like that and lose a game because of 2 own goals, I think you I think you know the writing's on the wall. It's inevitable at that point. But Liverpool, going back to them, just on that, if Arsenal, by the way, if Arsenal did not get that injury time goal, Liverpool would have been 8 points off of Arsenal. And then they would have taken one more defeat and Liverpool winning the game, and they'd be 5 points behind Arsenal. Would that have automatically been Liverpool back in the title race at that point? Because you get to 5 points away, then you are definitely in there. You are 100% in there. The fact that if... This is going to sound crazy, so don't... Well, you can do it. You can quote me on it if you want, but it's the reality of this season and what's happening right now. If Manchester United... if United win tomorrow against Bournemouth, we go on to 28 points. That's 8 points off the league leaders, Arsenal. Just saying, single figures. Do you know what I mean? Like, we were saying that we would be happy as Man United fans being a few points, single figure points out of the Champions League places. And tomorrow we could be 8 points off the top. We could go on a title charge. You never know. Anything's possible in this Premier League season. But look, again, the importance of Jesus' goal was there for everyone to see, because that would have been convincing enough, I feel, for everybody to just go, Arsenal have bottled it again. We've not even got into the new year and they've already bottled it. That would have been what everyone was talking about. They got out of jail big time yesterday, Arsenal. And now all of a sudden, they're still top of the league. They can forget about the Wolves game and move forward and try and right them wrongs in the next game. And that's what we're looking at. And that's how crazy these goals going in late in the Premier League games and some of these performances have been, because it just thrown the league table completely up in the air. Let's get some more comments in from the live chat. Please do drop your comments in the comment section as well below, everybody. When it comes to the title race now, where is it going? I still feel like City are going to make a charge now. I'm not convinced one bit by Arsenal anymore. They have done it for me. I know results are going in, but I'm not having it. Let's see what we've got in here. Most successful club in England. Oh, there's some Liverpool fans in trying to have their say. I'm guessing there's a few United fans and other fans winding them up. Always the case. It's quite a lot, actually. Al says on the Cole Palmer situation, 100 million for Cole Palmer. He is one of the best players in the Premier League. Of course he is. He's worth 100. He's worth over 100 million. I would have Cole Palmer any day of the week in United. A fantastic player. Shooting at Bondi Beach. This world is messed up big time. I didn't know about that. I'll have to check the news later on that one. That is sad if that is true. 3 things that definitely happen in a calendar year. Your birthday, Xmas, and Arsenal bottling the league, I think that's supposed to say. Probably right there, Lona, mate. Gyökeres is vastly overrated. Strikers from Portugal are dodgy. Don't trust the Portuguese league stats. Bottling. I seen you put it in there, Lonan. We should have beaten Arsenal first game of the season. We battered them and lost 1-0. Should have beaten Fulham. We should be top. We should have beaten Fulham. We should have beaten Spurs from a winning position. Forest from a winning position. West Ham from a winning position. If Manchester United have held on to a lead against West Ham, if Manchester United would have held on and beaten a 10-man Everton that we had 80 minutes to play against, if we'd have won both of them games, right now, Manchester United would be challenging Manchester City in second. In fact, let's just say, if we'd have won our last 2 league games against Everton and West Ham, which we should have, Manchester United would be 3rd in the league right now, behind Manchester City, a point off Manchester City. And that's just them 2 games. You look at the others that we should have, and it should have, would have, could have, and I know hindsight's a great thing, but honestly, it just goes to show, doesn't it? And that's the game for Man United tomorrow against Bournemouth. We'll be looking at that in the same way. But in terms of the game for Man United against Bournemouth tomorrow, that will be, if United do win it, that is, 1 defeat in 10 for Manchester United. 6 wins, 3 draws, 1 defeat. That's top 4 standard. That's 10 games. 10 games is enough of a run to convince you that something is doable and possible. AFCON is going to be a bit of a bitch, though, for Manchester United. By the way, massive game today for Sunderland against Newcastle. First, obviously, Timeway derby in a long time in the Premier League. I know they played last season in the FA Cup. What does everyone think the score is going to be in that one today? That's a tough one to call because Sunderland's form isn't great anymore. Newcastle are in a miles better position. They've won 3 of the last 4. Sunderland have won 1 of the last 5, so I don't know where that one's going to go. But Sunderland need a result today if they can, because they lose 7 players for AFCON. 7. We're talking Man United here, actually losing 3 key players, and other teams losing key players as well. But 7 first-team squad players for Sunderland in the form that they're in. If they get beat by Newcastle today, they go into the bottom half of the table, and then they lose 7 players for 4 weeks near enough. That could be the start of a bit of a spiral out of control, and Sunderland going from being in the Champions League places within 6 weeks, dropping right down. I'm not going to make this sound over the top or anything like that, but with losing 7 first-team squad players, losing today, dropping down into the bottom half of the table, could be as far as in a couple of weeks, I'm looking at it, West Ham on 13 points in the relegation zone. They're only 10 out of the relegation zone right now, Sunderland. And look, they've done great, fantastic. And this is exactly where this Premier League is right now. Sunderland have won 6 games this season. Leeds, who are on the brink and only 2 points out of the relegation zone, have won 4. Same with Forest, so they're in the mix. Keep an eye on Sunderland over the next few weeks, over this Christmas period. The 10th now, after 15 games. Great, good start. But how close this Premier League season is, Sunderland could be the example of it, because I think Sunderland could drop down very, very quickly. And I'm only saying that because of the AFCON players and the disruption that that's going to bring, because this is the last game that they play today with all of their contingent. If they lose today, then they're looking, that's that 1 win in 6, bottom half of the table, a big chunk of your squad gone, tough games coming, fixture pile-up coming up, all of a sudden, straight down. That's how big it is. The other big game today as well, City in 2nd against Palace in 5th, Selhurst Park. We're going to be covering that game later on here. Over on Forever United TV on Rival Watch, actually. So if you fancy that later on, everybody, make sure that you get into that. So we're going to be watching that game with a very, very keen eye, because this is going to impact Manchester United's game against Bournemouth tomorrow. I could do with a draw in that one. A draw will put City on 32 points and Crystal Palace on 27. A win for Manchester United would then put us up into 5th. So this is the only game today that can really impact what Manchester United do in terms of moving up. Because Palace in 5th, City in 2nd. But a draw today is the ideal result for us. Some will say, hopefully Palace beat Manchester City, because that will keep City firmly in the mix as well, and within touching distance, because Manchester United win, City lose, that's 3 points away from City. That's Manchester United in this weekend. That would be interesting. But it's starting to, I feel now, really gather momentum and I think pick up pace. If you look at Newcastle, they're in 12th. So this is where I'm hoping the gap is going to start to build and get bigger now. Newcastle and Spurs, yes, they've still got to play as well. So they can go on to 25 points, which is level on points with Manchester United. And then, if United win, there starts to be a bit of a gap develop from the likes, from round about, what would we be on? So, yeah, I think there's now then a gap then from European places. 7th or 8th from the European places then from 6th. So from 6th going down, if United win, there's a bit of a gap building there then, I feel. And that's that safety net that we could do with. Definitely going into the games that we are going into anyway. That's from a United fans' perspective anyway. At the bottom, I think Burnley and Wolves are now done. Just looking at their stats and their form at the moment, oh my God. It's disastrous for both of them sides. But like Wolves yesterday, if they'd managed to get a point, that would have been miraculous at Arsenal. But the single worst team in Premier League history, 16 games, no wins. 2 points, done. Burnley's form is absolutely disastrous right now. That was a horrible defeat for them. They really needed to beat Fulham yesterday. But again, the quality of the Premier League shining through again. And I feel like the promoted teams are starting to drop away now. I think the promoted teams are starting to obviously find it difficult. I mean, you look at Burnley in there, you look at Leeds dropping down there as well. Sunderland, like I just mentioned, I think it's starting to take shape now more, personally. But yeah, a very interesting weekend anyway. And a lot of managers that were under pressure, no longer under pressure, with the likes of Slot and Maresca, like we just said. The relegation zone is really, I think, is setting itself up for the obvious now. I think it's the Champions League places and the European places that's going to be the most interesting fight going through this season. Let's get into some more of the chats. Can't wait for the Tyneside derby. It should be a cracker. Yes, what we will be doing later, we're probably watching between both of the games, to be honest, because they do both impact us. Obviously, Sunderland can't catch up to Manchester United. Oh, they can catch up to United. Sorry, I'm just going to double check the league again. So if Sunderland win, they go ahead of Manchester United. If Newcastle win, they could go ahead of Manchester United as well on goal difference. So that does impact us. And obviously the Man City and Crystal Palace game as well, that does impact Manchester United because we are, well, we're hoping to be catching both of them sides going forward. But yeah, that's what we're going to be watching on FUTV later, all of the 2 o'clock kickoffs, I think. When we look at, let's just bring it back a bit. I need to check the match. So the games today that we've got, so you've got West Ham versus Aston Villa. That's another interesting one. Forest versus Tottenham. I think Forest will take it there. So we've got 4 games that we're watching this afternoon, actually, on FUTV. So it's 5. It's 5. No, it's 4. Sorry, it's 4. Because Brentford Leeds is the Super Sunday game. 4 games to watch. Palace City, Sunderland, Newcastle, Forest against Tottenham, and West Ham, Aston Villa. We'll be keeping an eye on all of them games on FUTV later on this afternoon, everybody. So tune in for that. Around about 1:30, we're going to be kickstarting everything on that one as well. So come and join us for that. That should be fun. All lot of impact on Manchester United. Even Aston Villa away at West Ham. That's going to be an interesting one. And I think Forest will beat Spurs as well. I've just mentioned City and Palace and obviously Sunderland versus Newcastle. But busy day. Gregory says Sunderland will probably strengthen in January if needed. I saw an interview with the owner a while back. It said that they would choose players in relation to league place. Be interesting to see. Arsenal's next few games is the test, says Lonan. We'll see on that one as well. When looking at Arsenal, actually, let's just double check Arsenal's games. Let's see what Lonan's going on about there. They have got some big games coming up, actually. Everton away won't be easy. Saturday, 8 o'clock. Then they've got the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup against Palace. At home to Brighton. At home to Villa. Away to Bournemouth. At home to Liverpool. God. Away to Nottingham Forest. Away to Inter Milan. At home to Manchester United. So they have got a tough run of games through January. January is a tough old ask for Arsenal anyway. So next Saturday, Everton-Arsenal. Keep an eye on that one. That's a hard one to call. That could be very, very interesting, actually, that game. Correct, Jeff. Need a good performance after the last couple of games. Arsenal will have to keep their eyes on Villa, says Deborah. We'll keep our eyes on Villa as well today. Wolves score 3 goals at the Emirates and still lose. Arsenal don't have to score a single goal to still win. Wolves definitely going down. They can play counter-attack at a bit at Wolves, but Sunderland should be worried. Burnley and Leeds can't hold leads, as in hold leads in games. Right, poll that was up and running throughout. Do you think City will lose today? 80% of you have said no. Well, that's a bit disappointing. Anyway, that is your roundup for everything going on in the Premier League this weekend so far. Obviously, we'll play catch-up again on Monday and go through everything that has happened in the Premier League. Obviously, keep a track on FUTV as well. With Man United playing on Monday nearly every single week at the moment, it's been difficult to continue the normal scheduling with shows rounding everything up on the Premier League, but we will do our best. Thank you, everybody, for being part of the show today. I hope you have a fantastic one. Don't forget to tune in later on, around about 1:30 on FUTV, when we'll be covering all of the 2 o'clock games today impacting the Premier League and Manchester United. But for now, that is us all done. Thank you for watching, everybody. I'll see you all later on.